Live in high definition from WBFF in Baltimore. This is Fox 45 News at 10.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Gilbert.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Tonight, the Department of Justice gets an earful from Baltimore residents about their relationship with the police department.
Crime and Justice reporter Joy LaPola is live at Coppin State University, where the emotional town hall meeting took place. Joy.
Jennifer, well, I'm taking a look over my right shoulder and I can see that Department of Justice representatives are just now leaving Coppin State University after a very emotionally charged, as you said, meeting tonight. I think it's fair to say, following this evening's meeting, that the Department of Justice has a much clearer picture of the deep-rooted problems that exist between the community and the Baltimore City Police Department.
The first man to share his story says he was a victim of police misconduct.
The police that did to me what they did still got their jobs, they got their pay, and they got to retire. With a proper civilian review board, the police are afraid because the police do not investigate the police.
One person after another sharing their story and offering their opinion.
You can prosecute a cop for a kickback, you can jail a cop for a kickback, but when they kick a human being in the back, this city does nothing.
Fear and distrust coupled with complaints about a lack of transparency.
So that we as a community can see what others in the community are saying our police officers are doing. Because if you don't do that, this is just going to perpetuate itself.
The goal of the Justice Department is to improve the police department, which voluntarily requested this review.
We can help them develop a roadmap for change and to address those deficiencies.
A process the Justice Department says can't happen without first hearing from the public. And that they did.
Ending police brutality.
Sir,
a suspect
sir,
in your
would you do me a
drug.
favor, sir? Would you please share those with me also when we talk so we can review those documents? Thank you.
2 minutes, hardly enough for everyone to share their horror story.
Quite frankly, the people in here have stuff to say, and if need be, they will shut this down, so you will listen.
The beginning of a process few in this crowd, especially those who lost loved ones, have any faith in.
All the stuff is phony right now. It's phony.
Despite the promises those before them have made.
That's what we want to know. Where the real change is going to take place.
Now, the Department of Justice plans to take the information they gathered today and apply that to the policies and procedures they end up implementing here as a result of this review process. And it is important to point out that Baltimore City Police is just one of 8 law enforcement agencies in the nation right now under review. Reporting live outside Coppin State University, Joy LaPola, Fox 45 News.
Joy, thank you. Earlier today, Baltimore City Police released its timeline of events now that 4 officers are under investigation on allegations they used excessive force. But the list of events has some unexplained gaps. Early Sunday morning, video shows that Gray with officers standing over him. This is the suspect. Police now confirm it was around 8:39 when officers first approached Gray at North Avenue and Mount Street. Police say it's an area with a history of drug dealing and violence. After a 1-minute chase, bike patrol officers have Gray on the ground near Gilmore Homes, which is just a few blocks away from North Avenue. Within minutes, the department says officers request a prisoner transport wagon. Gray was placed inside that wagon, driven about a block down the street, then taken out. Police say that stop was made to place additional restraints on Gray. None of that time is accounted for in the department's timeline. The police department's timeline picks up at 8:54 when that van leaves. Within 30 minutes of placing those additional restraints on Gray, paramedics are being called to the Western District. The department did not say what time Gray arrived at the Western District, which is about 3 miles from where police initially took Gray into custody. Friends of Gray say he was admitted to shock trauma at 10:20.
New tonight, all lanes of southbound I-95 near the O'Donnell Street exit have reopened after a fatal accident. The deadly crash involved a motorcycle. It led to a major backup during the evening rush hour. No word yet on the identity of the person killed in that crash. Police are also investigating a crash on the outer loop of the Beltway. It happened around 9:15 this evening. The outer loop is closed at exit 15.
Postal carrier Doug Hughes is now facing 2 criminal charges for landing his gyrocopter at the U.S. Capitol. He was charged with operating an unregistered aircraft and violating national airspace. Hughes has been released from custody to return to Florida. He was reportedly trying to protest what he called campaign finance corruption when he landed on the west lawn of the Capitol building. Secret Service agents went to Hughes' Florida home after catching wind of his plan roughly a year and a half ago. No action was taken at that time.
He's not indicated a desire to harm anybody. The intent of the individual is relevant. It certainly is relevant to the way that he is processed by the investigative agency, in this case the Secret Service.
We're told Hughes' goal was to deliver 535 letters to all members of Congress expressing his anger. We've now learned a Florida newspaper had known about the flight all along. The Tampa Bay Times had been in contact with Hughes for nearly a year, shooting this video in preview of the flight.
Well, an Eastern Shore business has been extremely busy after the incident in Washington. As Kathleen Cairns reports, that business is one of the nation's largest manufacturers of gyrocopters.
At the Bay Bridge Airport, it's not unusual to see small or even smaller aircraft. Gyroplanes are sold here, and they're selling fast.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling AutoGyro USA.
Since the incident in D.C. Wednesday, the curious have been calling.
It is extremely popular now.
But there's a difference between these models and the ultralight, unregulated aircraft used in that stunt.
That particular aircraft was something that was put together with some parts that you could have gotten at a Home Depot. The only thing that was really unique or special to it would have been the rotor blades on top of it. In fact, that other aircraft is prohibited from flying over congested areas, and this aircraft could go land at BWI with fully complying with all FAA regulations.
For these larger gyroplanes, you need a sports license to operate, but it has everyone talking about this new aviation trend.
In Europe, they're the fastest growing aircraft registrations in the European market. We're starting to see that happen in the U.S.
This company has sold more than 80.
So what we have here is the AutoGyro Calidus, which is a 2-seat aircraft, and it's got a radio and a transponder. So
the FAA regulates them.
This aircraft is manufactured in a state-of-the-art facility.
The controls include standard aviation equipment.
Compared to fixed-wing aircraft, you can't stall it, so as long as that rotor blade is flying, you'll land very safely and comfortably.
According to the NTSB, there has only been one minor crash involving a gyroplane in Maryland in the past 5 years. In Queen Anne's County, Kathleen Cairns, Fox 45 News.
Metro service to Greenbelt has been restored after a concrete pedestrian bridge falls under the tracks in Berwyn Heights. A crane struck the bridge just before rush hour Wednesday afternoon, sending part of the bridge crashing onto commuter train tracks. Luckily, nobody was on the bridge and no trains were in the area, so no one was hurt. Crews worked through the night to make repairs and announced that early this morning full service was restored on the Green Line.
Tonight, the search continues for the suspect in a brutal killing inside an Anne Arundel County Dunkin' Donuts. This is 24-year-old Bhadresh Kumar Patel. Police say he and his wife, 21-year-old Palak Patel, got into an argument Sunday night. Police say that's when the suspect killed his wife and fled the store, which is near the Arundel Mills Mall. He's still on the run. Patel is facing a number of charges, including first and second-degree murder.
Anne Arundel County Police have arrested a suspect in a road rage incident in Glen Burnie. Raymond Nolan has been charged with 2 counts of second-degree assault and disorderly conduct. The victim says he was traveling with his child on Quarterfield Road yesterday when Nolan pulled out a gun and threatened him from his car door window. The victim called police, followed Nolan to a Wawa parking lot, and waited for authorities to get there.
Prosecutors have dropped murder charges against 2 men accused of killing a shock trauma center technician. Antoine Morton and Samuel Rogers were charged in the killing of Brandon Finney, who police say was used as a human shield during that shooting last September. Police say the man who was intended target was also killed. Morton's attorney says he found surveillance video that showed his client in another part of town at the time of the shooting. Prosecutors say they are still pursuing witness intimidation charges against the suspects that could bring up to 20 years in prison.
Baltimore's Department of Public Works is responding to a call for a moratorium on water shutoffs in Baltimore. A coalition of local groups is calling for a moratorium, saying that 25,000 households in the city and county are facing shutoffs, and residents often get only 10 days notice to pay overdue water bills.
That's one of the big concerns that I have, and that's why I'm here, because I'm not really an outspoken person, but I felt the need to come down here and speak because it's a big problem.
I understand that, that people dislike the turnoffs, but I have an obligation to all of our water and sewer customers inside the city, as well as the surrounding counties that we serve, to have our system be financially self-sustaining.
The Department of Public Works says there is a long list of services for residents who are having trouble paying their bills or who want to dispute their bills.
Some Baltimore County residents who live near a landfill in White Marsh may be in for a tax break. Governor Larry Hogan has signed into law a bill that would pave the way for that benefit. But John Rydell reports that tax break is not a done deal.
It is not a new community. It's a very well-established community.
The tiny community of Laurel Beach has been around long before the Eastern Sanitary Landfill. It was built back in the 80s, and residents were told it would only be around for about 25 years.
Many have been there 20, 30, 40 years. They thought, okay, you know, this will close, and there are some hazards living next to the landfill.
But Delegate Kathy Shalega says that odor and other hazards may get worse when the county expands its operation.
Well, now Baltimore County is processing Harford County's trash. And, I'm worried. Who else's trash will they enter into a contract with and process their trash which can go on forever?
Senate Bill 69.
So this week, Governor Hogan signed a bill enacted by the General Assembly which would grant tax breaks to homeowners who live near the landfill.
Election law.
County Executive Kevin Kamenetz opposes that idea and says it sets a bad precedent.
People who live next to a fire station may not want to pay full property taxes. People who live next to the Baltimore County Jail may not want to pay full property taxes.
To bolster his opposition, Kamenetz sent letters to parents of students at Pikesville High and Delaney Valley High, warning that if one small neighborhood received a tax break, it would mean less money to renovate schools elsewhere. But even though Governor Hogan has already signed that bill into law, special tax breaks for some of the homeowners of White Marsh won't actually happen until the Baltimore County Council also approves the plan. No word on when the council will take a vote. John Rydell, Fox 45 News.
Morgan State University is soon becoming a smoke-free campus. It already has a ban on smoking inside university buildings, but now that ban will extend to anywhere on campus, inside or out. The ban prohibits smoking cigarettes or any lighted tobacco products, including e-cigarettes. The new smoke-free policy takes effect July 1st of this year. And here's our question of the day. What do you think of a policy making a college campus entirely smoke-free indoors and out? You can join that discussion right now. Just go to facebook.com/FoxBaltimore. The young boy who's recovering after getting attacked by 2 dogs earlier this week got a special visit in the hospital today.
Anne Arundel County Animal Control and police went to visit Matthew Sotelo. It's his 11th birthday today. Animal control officers took up a collection and bought him a mountain bike. Officers bought it for him from Toys for Tots. Now, police say Matthew is recovering and doing well after suffering severe trauma from that attack.
Well, a tough day on the job for one palace guard. How he recovered after, that fall. In 10 minutes on Fox 45 News at 10.
An officer stops a suspect with his police cruiser. Why the police chief is defending the officer's actions when the news at 10 continues.
And it looks like we are seeing a few scattered showers out there just to the northwest of the city, down just southeast over the eastern shore. A few drops coming down. Scanning the sky on HD radar, more rain to talk about. I'll show you when that's all getting here, coming up in just a few minutes.
The graphic dash cam video of a man being hit by a police cruiser is adding to the debate over excessive use of force by police. Brian Todd tells us why the Marana, Arizona police chief is defending his officer's actions.
By every measure, it was violent, risky, close to catastrophic.
Marana, Arizona police officer Michael Rapico rams suspect Mario Valencia, knocking him up in the air. The impact also captured on Officer Rapico's dash cam. Marana's police chief says the officer actually saved the suspect's life by doing this.
The suspect is okay, our officer's okay, and all the citizens are okay.
An explanation that's not okay with the suspect's lawyer.
I find it ludicrous to say that we're saving this man's life who's suicidal by almost killing him. I mean, he could have died. It's miraculous that he didn't die given how hard he was hit.
Police say in this February incident, Valencia was carrying a stolen high-powered rifle, that he pointed it at an officer, threatened suicide by pointing it at himself.
You don't want to do this.
He'd fired in the air. One law enforcement expert says there was another way to handle this.
I think setting up a secure perimeter and at least making some attempt to negotiate may have been far more efficient.
But Jim Bierman, a longtime officer and former police chief, says there may not have been time for that.
If he had decided to start shooting at the officers, all of the officers there were at risk. That bullet will go right through the car door, it goes through the windshield. There are other people on the street. It looked like it was a residential area. There could have been people coming out of businesses if it was a commercial area.
The mistake Officer Rapico made, Bierman says, was seemingly not telling his fellow officers he was about to do this. They appeared surprised.
Jesus Christ, man down!
It's rekindled a passionate debate about the use of police cameras. Some argue they make police more jittery, less apt to go with their instincts, concerned with too much scrutiny. But Bierman says cameras have become critical. They can expose police who've committed abuse or clarify uncertainties.
I think there's probably as many officers that have been exonerated by their dash cam videos showing that they did exactly what they were supposed to do and that there was no misbehavior on their part, as it has helped in evidentiary cases too.
Well, Suge Knight is back in the hospital again after he was ordered to stand trial today in the deadly hit and run earlier this year. A Los Angeles County judge ruled today that Knight will face charges of murder, attempted murder, and hit and run. Officials say Knight had a medical emergency after the hearing. It's not the first time that's happened when he's been in court. Knight is accused of plowing his truck into two people in a restaurant parking lot back in January. One of those men died. The judge also reduced Knight's bail from $25 million to $10 million.
Baltimore's Inner Harbor could soon see more mega yachts. As Fox 45's Adam Yosem reports, a new law signed earlier this week by Governor Hogan means some boat owners could navigate state waters without hiring a bay pilot.
There weren't any mega yachts docking at this location for the Baltimore Marine Centers, but that could soon change.
It's excellent news.
Director of Sales Jesse Bowling talking about the new law signed by Governor Hogan that now allows recreational boats up to 200 feet long to navigate through Maryland waters without having to hire a licensed bay pilot, the person responsible for navigating commercial vessels in and out of the harbor. Bowling says the previous law deterred some from coming to the state.
An owner wanted to take a dinner cruise in the harbor. They'd have to call the bay pilots, wait 3 or 4 hours for them to come out just to move them, a matter of yards or feet from the pier.
Baltimore Marine Centers has 5 marinas here in Charm City, and they say this bill couldn't have come at a better time.
There's a seasonal patterns that these mega yachts take. They go from the islands up to Newport each season, and we're getting this bill passed right before they're supposed to come up here, so hopefully they come into the Chesapeake Bay.
An Annapolis marina owner told us by phone the new law will positively affect his business. Steve Grace with Annapolis Yacht Basin says safety shouldn't be an issue, adding that most owners and captains are highly trained. Baltimore Marine Centers says with more traffic,
it's certainly a better incentive for them to come.
Comes more time and money spent and more attention on Maryland. In Baltimore, Adam Yosem, Fox 45 News.
The law applies to foreign yachts or American ones that engage in foreign trade. Well, some interesting news in the sports world. Baltimorean Michael Phelps finishes the finals of the 100-meter butterfly at the Arizona Pro Meet in Arizona about 30 minutes ago.
And he won the event. We also know one other place that he plans to compete, the Olympics in Rio. Phelps is competing in his first meet since serving a 6-month suspension by USA Swimming after a second drunk driving arrest this past fall. Phelps also confirming that he's aiming to compete in a 5th Olympics next year in Rio, but says he's not going to the World Swim Championships because he doesn't want to be a distraction to the team.
I guess leading into Rio, that's something that
It's the first time. Something that I love is being a part of the national team and especially traveling overseas. So I look forward to hopefully having that opportunity next year.
Phelps also says he's not going to the World Swim Championships. As we said, he does not want to be a distraction. Well, of the thousands of teachers in Baltimore City,
one has a new title tonight, Teacher of the Year.
Teacher of the Year! Give it up, everybody!
That's excitement at Mount Washington School this morning. Ryan Kaiser, a 6th and 7th grade social studies teacher, was named the city's new Teacher of the Year. 200 other teachers were nominated for that award. But Kaiser, who writes a weekly blog for his parents and sponsors summer camps for his students, was named the city's top teacher.
congratulations to him.
Absolutely. Perfect spring day outside.
Absolutely gorgeous. Here's Chief Meteorologist Vetus Reed with a first look at your Weather Authority forecast. Hi, Vetus.
Yeah, it looks like we saw a pretty good day out there. A little bit of sun, some clouds, and now we're seeing some showers building in. Looking at HD radar, a little bit of rain as you go up I-70 westbound towards Cumberland, west of Hagerstown, getting a few showers at this time. Looks like we'll get a little bit of this rain pushing in through the overnight. In fact, looking at it in motion here, you can see how some light showers have moved through the Baltimore area. A little bit heavier out over the mountains. Looks like you may want to take those umbrellas with you as you head out for tomorrow morning's commute. A chance for some showers lingering, and then more rain on and off as we go through the afternoon tomorrow. Maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. 56 degrees tonight. A few clouds across the area with those showers. I'll tell you more about when the sun returns and how warm it could get over the weekend coming up.
Vetus, thank you. A flu affecting dogs could be heading toward Maryland. Ways to protect your pets later on Fox 45 News at 10.
And an embarrassing day on the job for this poor palace guard. How he recovered when the News at 10 continues. Well, there's now new meaning to a royal pain after one of the Queen's guards lost his footing outside of Buckingham Palace. Take a look at this fall during the famous changing of the guard. Ouch. The guard takes a step sideways and his feet slide right out from underneath him, dropping his rifle. He quickly recovered, as you could see, and his colleagues marched on as if nothing had happened. It's very British of them. The Ministry of Defense reported the department wouldn't comment on a young man falling over while doing his job.
The movie Frozen is a big hit with kids and apparently one U.S. senator.
We're going to be very aggressive on that issue as well as on the geographic preference issue.
Ah, come on.
Just let it go, Mr.
Kansas Senator Pat Roberts' ringtone interrupted a committee meeting today. As you heard, it was the classic Let It Go from Frozen. The committee was discussing U.S. tariff policy, so that Disney tune might have been a welcome break.
Coming up, a deadly dog flu may be heading our way. Where it spread to now and how many dogs have been infected and the best ways to protect your pet.
Yeah, 47 people were killed that day, but 1,500 guys died.
The anniversary of a Navy training disaster. What set off a tragic explosion and how one sailor on board the ship describes those intense days. That's up next in tonight's cover story.
And we're looking at a few scattered showers off to the west right now around the city. Just some clouds and down towards BWI, 61 degrees, mostly cloudy. A look at your weekend forecast next.
New at 10:30 tonight, this is video of 61-year-old Doug Hughes as he's approaching the U.S. Capitol yesterday. You could see just how low he was flying. And that's apparently what helped him avoid detection. He was literally flying under the radar. But national correspondent Jeff Barn takes us through what law enforcement officials knew about Hughes long before he took off.
61-year-old Doug Hughes landed his gyrocopter just yards from the Capitol building to deliver 535 letters for House and Senate lawmakers regarding campaign finance reform. He was immediately taken into custody. His aircraft moved to an undisclosed location, but the landing of this aircraft is now raising issues of national security.
The technology has obviously outrun our security perimeter.
It is shocking, but you know, what do? I don't know. You shoot it down when it's coming in. It's a pretty tough question, I guess.
Hughes took off from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That's about 80 miles northwest of Washington, D.C. His trip took about an hour. Now the question is, who was responsible for allowing him to land his aircraft just a few hundred yards from the Capitol building without responding?
Department of Homeland Security, they have the primary responsibility for countering acts of terror. While this guy did not conduct an act of terror, a suicide bomber on a gyrocopter would have been a great headline for Al-Qaeda or ISIS.
Reports say the embattled Secret Service under Homeland Security interviewed Hughes a little over a year ago at his Florida house and did not pose him to be a threat. Capitol Police, the FAA, and lawmakers are also investigating.
I would not be surprised if you see some other plots coming out of this down the road. Not immediately, but a couple years when people start getting lazy again.
Hughes claimed he had no violent intent and has been likened to a little P.T. Barnum and a little Paul Revere. But his implausible flight has raised too many post-9/11 red flags at the nation's capital.
Anytime that you have anybody coming in under radar is a concern.
I'm Jeff Barn, Fox 45 News at 10.
Beer and wine could be sold at the University of Maryland College Park athletic events as soon as this fall. The school announced President Wallace Lowe is considering and seeking input on this new student proposal. The school says the number of drinks one could purchase at a time would be limited and alcohol sales would stop before games are over. If it's approved, the income from alcohol sales would go to campus-wide student support activities such as mental health services and responsible drinking initiatives.
It's the latest shot in the battle to allow public schools in Oklahoma to give students Bibles. Those for it say it's religious freedom. However, 26 school districts in the state received letters from a group called Freedom from Religion threatening to sue over distribution of Bibles because it's unconstitutional. The Attorney General's office says it's not, as long as districts create a policy that allows all students to practice their religion, not just Christians.
I think everybody that has their different beliefs need to respect that. So people that are Christians, obviously they're going to want Bibles and prayer back in the schools, but everybody has different beliefs.
The question over whether a school is showing preference to one religion if it provides Bibles to students is now heading to the courts.
A North Carolina town is at odds with the person who decided to add some thought to a monument dedicated to World War II heroes. It's unfolding in the mountain town of Asheville. Last year, the city dedicated a statue to Colonel Robert Morgan and the crew of the Memphis Belle. That B-17 bomber flew critical missions that helped the U.S. and its allies achieve victory during World War II. After the statue was installed, someone etched without permission the biblical verse of John chapter 12, verse 46. Well, apparently it was Colonel Morgan's favorite biblical verse, but there's disagreement over whether it was appropriate to inscribe that verse.
Is there a bad thing? No, nobody's doing anything like bad, but you really should not come on other people's property without permission and then etch something that belongs to someone else without permission.
A lot of people who come to Asheville and talk about sensitivity, but who are very insensitive to our community's traditional values. That scripture represents one of those values.
Well, the city has been working to remove the inscription. Officials say they're not opposed to religion or activism. Asheville leaders say the person who did the etching was trespassing and the city could have been liable had that person gotten hurt. Right now, it's unknown who wrote the inscription.
A new poll sheds light on how Americans are feeling about abortion, specifically late-term abortion. A recent Quinnipiac poll shows a majority of Americans support legislation that would ban most abortions after 20 weeks into pregnancy. The abortion question is coming up in the 2016 presidential race, with Republicans calling on Democrats to explain where they would draw the line.
I can't tell you a specific date and time past which we in all cases are certain that that choice shouldn't be made, because that decision is very unique and individual to the woman and should be in consultation with her conscience and her God and her doctor. That is a decision left to her.
Women all the time and say, how do you feel about abortion any time, at any point in a woman's pregnancy, for any reason, right up to the last minute, to be paid for by taxpayers, and now many Democrats want to add to be performed by a non-doctor. They don't know that that's what Democrats stand for.
7 states, as well as the District of Columbia, permit abortions up until birth in some cases.
A Texas high school isn't bending the rules for one teen battling a life-threatening illness. Victoria McKinnon suffers from cystic fibrosis and has been fighting to keep up with the schoolwork while in and out of the hospital throughout high school. The senior is just one class away from graduating, which she'll be taking this summer. All she wants to do is walk across the stage with her friends in June, not even receive her diploma. But the school won't let her because she doesn't meet the requirements.
And this is almost like the definition of being a normal kid. Like your senior year, you get to walk the stage. I've been looking forward to it for so long.
I don't know how long Victoria is going to live. Of course, we always aim for the moon, the sky, and the stars, but in reality, her lifespan is limited, and so every experience is very important for her.
Victoria's family filed a complaint with the Education Department's Civil Rights Office in hopes the district will reconsider before graduation.
This Sunday marks a sad day for the U.S. Navy.
In tonight's cover story, Paul Gessler talked with a former sailor on the now decommissioned USS Iowa who recalls his time aboard the ship during its darkest hour.
It was just tough. It was a tough couple of days.
Ask Eric Worthen what was tough.
You know, I went to boot camp with him.
It wasn't his time in the Navy.
Gideon and Gendron and Goins, they were all in 2nd Division, I believe.
Sailors like him.
This is me right here.
Cherish their service on the seas.
My mother saved a lot of news articles.
Ask him what was tough.
26 years is a long time.
It was that day, 26 years ago, this Sunday.
One of the guys said, wow, that was a good shot.
A training exercise in the Atlantic Ocean, firing the guns on the battleship USS Iowa.
There was a video when Turret 2 went up.
This video, actually, it was just before 10 o'clock in the morning.
He said, go back down, there's been an unexplained detonation in Turret 2.
Turret 2, the gun mount closest to the camera, exploded.
The fireball reached about over 2,000 degrees. And
47 people.
That's
47 sailors.
It's not good, you know.
Died during that exercise at the end of the Cold War.
Just the night before, we're playing poker with a couple of these guys. The next day, the next morning, not even lunchtime, you know, we lost 47 of them.
Sunday, the anniversary, that will be tough too for Eric.
This photo here is from the day we came back into port.
But not as tough as those days after the disaster.
It was just very surreal coming back that day.
His family, brother and nephew, here in video from Navy archives, welcomed him and other sailors home.
Yeah, 47 people were killed that day, but 1,500 guys died, somehow.
The U.S. Navy still officially lists the cause as undetermined, but a GAO report blames an accidental overram of gunpowder bags in one of the guns.
I saw flame out of that one, and then it seemed like flame came out of all.
Those hours after the explosion,
we literally scooped them up and put them into a trash bag.
They're haunting for Eric and others.
And it was, you know,
26 years don't make this any easier.
It was tough.
It's hard for Eric and other sailors.
And President Bush was there.
Worried some Americans don't remember an accidental explosion during peacetime.
We drank beer with these guys. We slept in the same room with these guys. We lived with these guys. And really, we died with these guys.
Worthen will join hundreds of others Sunday at the memorial in Norfolk, April 19th, 1989.
Remember the Iowa, but remember the lives and not the lives lost.
The day when a group of young sailors realized how fragile life is.
It's tough, but, you know, we make it through. We're sailors.
They're the USS Iowa. Paul Gessler, Fox 45 News.
We had some beautiful spring weather today, for sure.
Yeah, it was a pretty nice day out there. The clouds have moved in now. The showers are knocking on the door, and it looks like we'll need those umbrellas tomorrow for parts of the day. I don't think it'll be a total washout, but I think we'll have our share of some showers through the morning hours and probably through parts of the afternoon. So but the weekend looks pretty good. That's what's the nice part of it. And we have warm temperatures moving our way. So here's what's going on out there, folks. Looks like we have relatively quiet conditions. You can see this tower cam shot looking at the domes, the glass domes on top of Towson Town Center, you know, and as you walk through that top floor, you look up and you see that nice dome in the center of the mall. That's it right there from a top view. Looking at lights nice and bright out there. 61 degrees. We're looking at winds out of the southeast at 5, humidity levels at 54%. And it looks like we will continue to see those temperatures go down just a few degrees through the overnight into the upper 50s. That's where we probably will be. A little bit of rain-cooled air also that will be involved with that as the little rain moves in from the west. You can see those temperatures right now, 62 in Bel Air, 58 in Elkton, 58 in Chestertown. Baltimore downtown, 61 degrees, 63 in Columbia, up in Westminster, 61. Our friends down in Laurel, about 59 degrees, and Annapolis coming in at 60. Once again, those showers across the area, you can see just off to the west, a little bit of rain on HD radar showing up just west of Hagerstown, a little bit up over just south of York over the border here. We had a brief little shower that went through the Baltimore area about an hour ago, but for the most part around the area, not really anything steady coming down here, but it will pick up a little bit through the late overnight as we see some of that activity that's just west of us, west of I-70 there, that will move on down into the city. So you can see on the bigger picture, 60s here, 50s, and then 60s and 70s back to the west of us. We will cool down a little bit tonight, then warm up again tomorrow, but get even warmer as we get more sun involved as we get towards the weekend, mainly on like Saturday, which is going to be a great day to be outdoors. Looking at the satellite radar, you can see this wedge of rain that's moving through central Maryland, western Maryland, central Pennsylvania, and northern Virginia. That will push through, and we have more precip back to the west, but there's some breaks in that precip, so it's not totally organized yet. Stretching down to the south, we have some moisture, but as this second wedge pushes through, that'll probably be our afternoon showers for tomorrow as we have the system moving through. So on the future scan, you can see a little bit overnight rain, morning rain possible, some scattered showers, some breaks in the clouds, 7:30 a.m. Then we get in through the afternoon, some breaks in the clouds, a few spotty showers here and there. Better chances maybe in that afternoon commute, a few pop-up showers. And then it moves on out of here. We could even get a few rumbles of thunder, but I think Friday night should be decent. Saturday nice and clear, and temperatures warm through the day into the mid-upper 70s. So it's going to feel pretty good out there as we go through the overnight. I'll have a closer look at your 7-day forecast coming up in a few moments.
Coming up, the negative effects of a popular pain reliever, the specific medicine and how it changes your emotions.
And a potentially deadly dog flu. How many innocent lives it has taken and the best way to protect your pet. A popular pain reliever may also reduce pleasure. Researchers gave a group of students acetaminophen and another placebo. The students were then asked to look at 40 pictures that range from extremely unpleasant to very pleasant. Those who took the acetaminophen rated all the photos less positive or less negative than those who took the placebo. Researchers do not know if the same thing happens when people take aspirin or ibuprofen, but they plan to study that area.
A dangerous new strain of dog flu is raging across the Chicago area. In just the past couple of weeks, 1,000 dogs have gotten sick. More than a dozen have died. Stephen Cheetah from our sister station in Washington, D.C. reports veterinarians are now afraid this new flu could be heading our way.
So far, no sign of this new dog flu in the metro area, but it's spreading fast around Chicago and could be poised to race across the country.
It's scary. Yeah, I wish I knew more about it.
Many dog owners go to great lengths to keep their pets healthy. They give them medications to keep ticks and fleas off of them. They vaccinate them against illnesses such as kennel cough or rabies. But when it comes to this new dog flu, there is no vaccination to prevent it.
I wish there was a vaccine, or if I knew what to do about it.
There's a vaccine for the usual dog flu, but this is a fresh strain of the virus, a mutation called H3N2.
There have been 1,000 cases. There have been 10 or 15 dogs that have died. It's a very severe respiratory disease.
With no vaccine, Dr. Buck Drummond advises the best way to protect your dog is keep it away from other animals as much as possible.
It's more about being nose to nose with another dog and exchanging respiratory fluids.
Already there's concern at this canine playground.
I take my dog to the dog park, on average 2 weeks, so this would be kind of the worst place to bring your dog.
Now, if you haven't had your dog vaccinated against the traditional dog flu, you may want to do so. While it won't prevent the new strain, it might boost your pet's immune system and give it a better chance of survival.
Oh, we're just oohing and ahhing over the cute dogs.
We are. The dogs are really cute. Here's Chief Meteorologist Vitas Reed to tell us whether tomorrow will be doggy walking weather.
Yeah, it will be with a doggy umbrella for parts of it, but it looks like we'll see some showers. Maybe a rumble of thunder in the afternoon, little round of showers, but I'm not going to rule out a few pokes of sunshine as we go through the afternoon, possibly 73 to high, but it's going to continue to get warmer as we get into Saturday. A fabulous day. I think we'll see those showers get out of here. We'll see plenty of sun, 76 the high. Looking at Sunday, morning sun into the part of the afternoon. I think we'll get later afternoon, evening showers, and that will linger Sunday night into Monday. Monday looks like a rainy start to the week with 65, but then we clear out for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, partially with a little bit of sun and rain. But I think the weekend's going to be pretty fabulous out there. Get outside and do something outdoors. Highly recommend it. Back to you guys.
Michael Phelps' first race since his suspension. Find out if he could take down his Team USA rival next in Sports Unlimited.
And a solution to those ugly bridesmaid dresses. The company that may rent or prevent you from getting stuck with one after the break.
Earlier this week, Michael Phelps confirmed the speculation, announcing that he would indeed try for a spot in the 2016 Olympics. He's been training hard toward that end, and tonight showed that it could very well happen. Swimming tonight in the Mesa Arena Pro Swim Series, Phelps won the 100-meter butterfly event, and in the process beating out his main rival, Ryan Lochte. The winning time, 52:38, somewhat off his best time, but over 0.7 of a second faster than the rest of the field. It was his first competition since his DUI and subsequent rehab stay. Phelps will swim in 5 events this weekend in Mesa. Baseball, J.J. Hardy is still not ready for a rehab assignment. The O's shortstop will take batting practice on Friday, but there are no imminent plans for him to join a minor league club. Hardy's been on the disabled list in spring training with a shoulder injury. Jimmy Paredes much closer to returning. He'll play at Bowie on Friday and Norfolk on Saturday. WNBA draft tonight. The Terps' lone senior was selected. Lauren Mincy went to the New York Liberty in the 3rd round, the 27th overall selection. Mincy averaged 13.5 points per game, leading the Terps to the Final Four the last 2 seasons. Ubaldo Jimenez is coming off of one of his best starts as an Oriole. Why tomorrow night might not go as well as his first outing. That's coming up at 11:30 as Sports Unlimited continues.
It's mid-April, and that doesn't just mean spring is in full swing.
It also means that prom season and wedding season is officially here. As Amber Miller explains, one online company is offering women the same convenience that men have had for years.
Shopping for a prom or bridesmaid gown online. Not unusual.
I was engaged only 2 weeks ago.
Being able to rent it, wear it, and send it back, now that's different.
It was nice to know that it was one and done. We could just pay the rental fee, get the dress, look fabulous, and then ship it back.
Scandia Di Savario was a bridesmaid in her friend's wedding last fall. The bride turning to vow to be chic for her ladies, allowing them to rent their gowns instead of making a purchase.
Bridesmaid dresses are over $200 easily, and the rental was only $110.
Di Savario says shipping was included, and she was so sold on the idea that when she got engaged, she decided to go with the online company and has already picked this gown as a top contender for her bridesmaids.
I know that I'm going to be asking a lot from my bridesmaids as it is, and I would hate for them to have to dish out a lot of money on a bridesmaid's dress that they'll never wear again.
While all the bridal shop owners we spoke to say they don't currently rent dresses, the owner of this East Baltimore shop says she would consider it, although she has her reservations.
That's a lot of beadwork.
Crystal Williams says from April to September, business increases by 50%.
For weddings, they're looking for tuxedos as well as wedding gowns, bridesmaids dresses, mother of the bride, and as well as flower girl dresses.
Customers placing orders or buying items off the rack, but renting?
90% of the women need alterations, and the fabric is so delicate that you would not be able to alter it to fit me, take it out, and then alter it to fit someone else.
She's not completely sold.
You bought it. It's yours. You do what you want to do with it.
Although she agrees it is a pretty cool concept. In Baltimore,
I would probably consider that as a business owner, but 90% of the time I'd rather the purchase.
Amber Miller, Fox 45 News.
Matching wits with the mayor. How she was trying to find out if she was smarter than a 5th grader.
And coming up in just 5 minutes on the Late Edition, a homegrown terror suspect. What investigators say an Ohio man was planning to do. And Target still paying the price for being hacked. what the latest legal settlement will cost the retail giant. Some big names in Baltimore were trying to find out if they were smarter than a fifth grader tonight.
Who was the first African-American woman in outer space?
That would be Mae Jemison. Students from the Baltimore Curriculum Project School were competing against a panel of adults, which included Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake and actress Megan Anderson. The event was part of a celebration at the school. And while there is no final word on the winners just yet, the students did have a slight lead the last time we checked.